accountable, pardon the pun. So we'll pour through some figures tomorrow. And we're just looking at little things of, as I said, those fixed costs, and where we can, lean things up and make things more efficient in the business.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke. It's amazing to see how many different things different businesses are doing, really, and for the businesses that are really thinking about their business post September, they're saying that September there could be a big downturn in things because of JobKeeper finishing, if and when that finishes in September, and how people are actually preparing for that time, and what kind of things that they are willing to do to change their business. I've got a presentation coming up on the 15th, on next Wednesday, and it's all about marketing in this sort of new hello Annie, in this new time, and what kinds of things that we've seen already happening, and what is most likely to stay. So, for instance, you've often, sorry about my boy in the background making a noise. Oi, shut up. Like online exercise classes and yoga classes and all these kinds of things happening already, that people are realizing, I'm going to keep doing this because it's working, because they realize that someone's not going to come out in the middle of winter to their class in Caulfield or something like that, when they can get the same amount of people or even more to an online class, because they don't have to leave the comfort of their home and their nice warm home, and they don't have to go to Caulfield or whatever. And they realize that they can get all these people from all around Melbourne or all around Australia doing that class. So why wouldn't they continue to offer this kind of thing online? So I think a lot of businesses have really had to think about this new kind of hybrid sort of business, I guess, and what they can be doing to offer a different range of hybrid kind of services. You may find that a lot more restaurants, for instance, might be just so more heavily invested in takeaway now, because they might realize it could be years before that they're getting back to full capacity, and even if the numbers allow it, people will have gotten used to doing so much takeaway and actually enjoying that they can get some really great food as takeaway instead of going out, for instance. And I think that a lot more people will be choosing to stay home, and it just depends, I guess, on the person. But I think a lot more places will be adapting to this new normal, and I'd love to see what some other examples that you guys have seen out there of businesses adapting. Yeah, go for it, David.
There are lots of different things that are changing, as we all see. Like, again, about the restaurants and things like that. Those that have gone and pivoted around and gone into takeaway, or they're creating, mass meals for a lot of people in regard to changing they've been putting out things like, I think it's Attica is actually putting out really high-end meals for a lot less than what they used to put out anyway. So because they don't have all the overheads of the people that are working. So there's lots of good things that are coming out of it as well with regard to those quality levels. I think people are realising they can get that quality. I was talking with one of our friends, Bernie, who owns a couple of very well-known, actually 3 or 4 very well-known gyms, and they had been completely online. And throughout the time they actually were charging, they still charged their people, I think it was half the price of what it was to be coming to the gym full time, so they could keep up their membership. And what they've done is they've actually, she was telling me this just a couple of weeks ago, she's incorporated both now. They've got the choice, and they can have the full membership and come in-house, or they can have the half membership, but then they can't go in-house at all. When they do go in-house, they pay full price. So, that's an option for them to do that, and that's actually worked really well, because it also brought in a whole heap of new customers, because they realised that they were able to get in. They were finding the old system, or the normal system, was cost prohibitive for them, but they could afford $10 a week to be a member in inverted commas, of the high-end gyms. So all of a sudden they end up getting 100 new members in one gym alone at $10 a week. It's $1,000 of income. Fantastic. So I think memberships is a way that, we've seen online, memberships have been a very, very lucrative way of having people become more, what's the word for it? Profitable for the businesses. And if you can find something, if I could find something to do that for hairdressing, I've been looking at ways of running it over the years. I've had different clubs running within the salon space, and they haven't always worked, because I was looking for a high ticket to give somebody a full year package for them to pay up front, but people don't have the cash flow currently, or many people don't seem to have the cash flow to be able to do that up front. I don't know what your thoughts are with regard to that, or maybe they do have, because so many people have been getting $750 a week now, and they've only had $300 before. So there's lots of different things with the job keeper or the job seeker. That's been far more lucrative for a lot of people. My son's got the business that he works in is a restaurant, and they didn't have a loss of income. They actually increased because they pivoted very, very early. But it meant that they couldn't get JobKeeper at all. And so, he's working a lot of hours to be able to get anywhere near, he get $500-600 a week, whatever it will be. But he's working a shitload of hours, and many of his friends are doing 1 shift or 2 shifts before. They get a whole lot. David, because their businesses had gone down.
Yeah, your audio is breaking in and out a lot tonight, unfortunately.
Is it? Sorry.
Yeah, it's coming.
I'll stop talking.
Your camera's frozen now too. So, but yeah, I think membership type things is a great idea. In fact, I've heard someone say that about a hair salon before, that offering, and look, you don't have to get the membership fee up front. It could still be a monthly thing, but it could be a roots and foils package or something like that of a monthly fee or something like that of someone's guaranteed that they can come in to their hairdresser once a month for the same price, and they get some kind of bonuses because they are committing to coming every month. And if that means you're getting a customer every 4 weeks instead of every 6 weeks or 8 weeks, then I think some kind of monthly membership is an awesome idea, because I hope you can still hear us, because you've said you've kind of disappeared there for a second. But no, you're there.
I'll come back.
Yeah. But yeah, it's in a business like restaurants and hair and beauty and things like that. It's all about and health in particular, like health providers, chiropractors, doctors, things like that. It's all about how many more times in a year can you get that customer or patient to come in, basically. Oh God, there's 2 of them now.
Yeah.
So yeah, if, for instance, like I know when I've been pregnant with both kids, my chiropractor offered a monthly package where I could come in as many times as I needed to. Basically, it worked out to, I could go in once a week, basically, or 2 times a week, really, if I needed, if I was really bad, all for the 1 monthly price. And he would offer that to me during the pregnancy, because I would need to come in a lot more often. And he called that a care plan or something like that. So I think it's a really great way to guarantee that you're going to get your customers in there every month. And if they don't turn up, well, then that's their loss, isn't it? So
it's that old subscription-based model.
Yeah,
it's very popular now. You know, accountants do it as well. I was never a real fan because I'm like, well, you like to see the value up front. Like you want to, you want people to be working for your money, and I think sometimes with the subscription model, not all industries, but they can get a bit complacent after a while. And that's what, I'm not really keen on that. So businesses that do it well, there's a few that I deal with, and some do it well and some do it really poorly. And it catches up. So you can have a lot of, monthly ongoing payments into the business, but then the service to those clients lacks. And then the next year, a lot of people, move on in droves. So that can have a big impact. So definitely doing it well. I think with yours, David, maybe a good idea would be is if it's transferable. So if the mum didn't want to go, maybe the daughter could. If you had that monthly sort of subscription, I'd probably find, or even, one of the friends, a nice little gift for someone. If someone had a monthly subscription, could pass that on to a friend as well. So maybe it's transferable, which might open the scope a little bit more, in your space.
Yeah, I know, like Karen Powell, she runs Your Time Matters networking group. And so she offers a monthly subscription to that. People pay to be a part of the networking group. It reduces the cost that it costs to go each month. And I don't know what she's doing now that it's all online at the moment, but you used to get, depending on how much you paid in this package, you could get business mentoring with it as well as attending the events. And if you couldn't attend that event that month, you could send a friend along in your place. So it was a great idea because I was never a member of it, but I often had people offering me a spot that month and said, oh, I can't go this month. Do you want to take my spot? So it can work in all sorts of areas. So like for instance, my kid's in karate, and you can you can't really pay per class, but the way that it works is that it's a weekly fee, and you could go once for that weekly fee, or you could go 4 or 5 times for that weekly fee. So it just depends on how much you want to get out of it and how often you want your kid to go, but everyone pays the same price pretty much. So when COVID hit, they were actually a great example, actually, because COVID was coming. We had 1 week of sort of social distancing in the dojo, and I said, what are you going to do come next week when we're going to be locked down? And they're like, we have no idea. I said, well, you just got to start running Zoom classes. And they're like, no, we can't do that. I wouldn't know how to do that. I said, I'll help you get started. That's fine. And they're like, I don't know if we'll get the head office to agree because they're part of a franchise. And the franchise just wanted to run like an online course, having people log into the website and watch pre-recordings. I said, nah, sorry, it's not going to work. They're like, what do you mean? I said, may work with the adults, possibly. But I said, with the kids, they need accountability. They need their sensei in their lounge room every day or every second day going, do your sit-ups, Levi, you're not doing this right, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, you're right. And I said, and the parents want that too. They don't want to have to say to their kid, go and watch YouTube for half an hour. You've got to do your karate. You want to say to your kids, you have got karate now. And so it's still like this formal environment. You still get your gi on. You still move the furniture around in the lounge room to fit everything in. And it was so successful. They cut their rates in half straight up front. They did 50% discount for everyone while it got going. But after about 6 weeks, they actually put the full fees back up again because it was so successful. And they realized that, these kids were getting to do 5 classes a week if they wanted to. They could do 5 or 6 classes a week. It didn't matter. And the classes were so good. And they were getting I was on one of the calls one day, and there was 60 people logged in, and there's no way they could ever have that many people in a dojo. So it was incredible. And to be able to keep that training going, and I don't know any other martial arts that kept going. I've got a lot of friends that do martial arts, and their kids do it. And I've said, did their karate keep going? Did their judo keep going? Did Brazilian jiu-jitsu keep going? They're like, no, nothing. Not even some kind of let's keep fit Zoom classes or anything. It was just all completely stopped. And for kids that really, really heavily relied on doing this fitness, like my nephew, for instance, he's he's a little bit sensory disorderish kind of thing, and he has to do physical things all the time. Like if he's in class and he's going a bit nuts, he has to just go and run around the oval. He's just a runner, and he's an awesome footballer, always best on field. He's a cross country runner, he's a judo champ, he's Brazilian jiu-jitsu champ, he's everything. And for all of this to just stop for him, it was just crazy. He went nuts. And luckily he lives on like 4 acres, and he could just go and run around on the 4 acres or something. But
it's interesting because I had one of my reps in on Tuesday last week, and my salon, we chose to stay open because we've got small staffing and we've got the space to be able to fit everyone in that we could and socially distance, etc. But I was one of 5 salons that he had in his books of 110 clients that stayed open. Now, they all could have done what we did. Many of them were doing colours, from come and pick it up and do it at home and things like that. But we were quite unique. I don't know why, why people chose, if it was fear or whatever it was. We just did everything that we need to do, and we still have to obviously be keeping it up now. And so it's something that doesn't slow down, just with regard to the protocols that we set up to keep us safe before the clients, because we had to be safe as well.
Yeah.
It was just interesting. I went to look at a salon today just out of interest to see this girl had closed down her salon basically and was trying to sell the shop fit. And I said, "Why'd you close?" And she said, "I wasn't sure that I'd be able to ever open again." I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, I'm young and blah, blah, blah. So, I'm trying to get this girl to come and work in my shop now because she's got a ready-made business that she's looking for somewhere to take."
Yeah.
So, there's lots of different ways. I think amalgamation and things like that between different businesses could be another way of looking at doing things, seeing how you can do more with less, which is what people have, that's a generalized principle from Bucky Fuller. It's called ephemeralization, doing more with less.
You wouldn't want to say that word backwards.
Ephemeralization.
But no,
After 10 beers.
Bucky Fuller.
Bucky Fuller.
All right, yeah.
So
yeah, it's funny.
Like, look, your business is signs, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's looking at ways and looking at how cross-pollinating with different businesses and seeing how you can utilize each other's databases to grow, how we could offer something to your business to share with your customers. But a lot of your customers, I don't know if they're return customers or if they come in and have a big sign done and then they're done until their next big sign.
It's a mix, yeah. So now we've been around for a fair while now, so it starts to come full circle. So the database, we're probably on our books. We've probably got over 5,000 clients, half of which are all return. So, which is great, but we do work hard at acquiring new clients because you're right. We might have sort of key jobs that were done once, but then 5-7 years comes around, that might be a refurbish or an upgrade. Yeah, but you can times that by 15 or 20 a year, and it starts to add up. But yeah, definitely plugging in to other businesses and working with other businesses and leveraging off your strengths. And that might be now that businesses that are struggling in different areas, it's a really good idea. As an example, some might be really good at marketing, so acquiring those leads, but poor at executing the manufacturing and installation. Depends what you're in. Might be a cabinet maker or what have you. So, yeah, leveraging off the different strengths and skill sets, and also, the database, that's a big one too. So, I think that's important. It's especially now, there's a lot of fear out there. And I think, as you said, with the hairdresser, half of that's fear. As soon as they start to think, shit, that industry's closing down, it's affecting everything, and I don't know how I'm going to survive. They start to consider, they're sailing close to the rocks anyway. Let's be honest, right? Young person paying for a shop fit out in a saturated industry, and that could be hairdressing or a coffee shop.
Mm.
It really takes it takes a while for them to get up to a point where they're actually profitable, right? Same with restaurants, they run skinny. Only the good ones make really good money. So for something like this, they're actually sailing to the rocks really closely anyway. And when that mindset hits that shit, we're taking on water, and there could be a lot more water very shortly, they start to think about getting onto land rather than sort of sailing out to the wide open sea.
So, it's finding the right people that are going, how can we make this work?
Yeah. And you always will. And that's the thing. That's what people can't get too carried away with. I'll tell you one thing in life, this will pass. Yeah. It's like summer and winter, comes and goes, and it'll pass. And the benefits are that we learn a lot of how to sort of move and be uncomfortable in a short amount of time. And that's what a lot of people don't grapple with. And you hear things about people saying, just some sort of normality, or, just to get things back to the way they were. Well, things always change, whether we like it or not. This is just one of those massive changes in life that we either go with.
Come to that new normality. It'll be interesting.
What's normal? I'm not normal. People tell me all the time, I don't care. It's great. Yeah, throw it at me. But do you have to look after your ship? For sure. Do you need to know where the rocks are? Yes, you do. Do you need a plan B to say, well, right, am I going to take this ship right into those rocks with me and everyone on board? Yeah, or am I going to take ownership of this? Am I just going to shut shop, sell the fit out, pay my debts down, put my head down until it passes, and then look for other opportunities on the up?
These are all on it either way.
Yeah. And these are all options, Some can ride it out. Some have got the capital to sit there and go, well, I can shut the doors for 6 months, which is great, because when you do come out of this, the up is definitely there for the taking. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yes.
I think you mentioned something else. Sorry, Jerry, you were going to say something?
No, I'm just agreeing. Go for it.
I think that you were mentioning about the database and keeping in contact. And constant contact, weekly communications, letting people know what you're up to, where you're at, why you're doing it, just touching base. Hope you're okay.
Yeah.
Thinking about you, and no sales stuff in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Just putting your heart out there on your sleeve and saying, I hope you're doing okay. We're missing you, whatever it is. Boom, that's it. Then you do it again a week later, and then people appreciate that sort of thing.
Yeah. And that's forgotten. It's not all. I mean, it's somewhat. It is the art of sales, and some businesses fail to do it really well. We could be a lot better on it, but things like MailChimp, just setting up a basic database. I mean, even if you've got 10 clients, it doesn't matter. But if you're staying in regular contact, that's a really good habit to get into. It's definitely MailChimp. Buffer's another one that we use for social media. And that could be just putting up, I spend probably an hour a night once a week, and I can load up the posts on 5 different platforms. So I can probably do a week's worth, 7 to 10 days, and I can stagger those and schedule those whenever I like. So it doesn't take a lot of time and not a lot of energy either. But I've consistently done that. So I'm posting at least every second day, bare minimum. And there's things like Edgar as well, which is another social media platform. Again, you can schedule the whole year of posts. And this software is so advanced that you can have benchmark posts at a pretty big form, maybe a bit of video, 2,000 words, etc. And what Edgar will do, after 12 months, it'll go back to that post, split it apart, so it'll make it a slightly different version of the same post, and send it again for you. It's madness. Yeah, you sit there going, wow, is that real? And they're like, yeah. And so it won't be the same post. It'll be the same thing, but just in a shorter form, or they might just touch a video. sort of next level stuff. But just, this is the time to be leveraging off free advertising, which is pretty much your social media. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just takes your time.
Yeah. And another one I'm a big fan of, and I always tell people about, is, send out cards. So it's just, especially with people spending so much time at home, if you've got their address, just send them a card, touch base. Hairdressers are a perfect one again to collect people's. David, I know you collect people's details. I don't know if you collect birthdays, but sending birthday cards to people, or tips, just like you can in an email, but sending chunky mail can make a hell of a difference for people too. Sending tips or recipes or health things, whatever it is that your business can offer to help support someone, then it's a really, really great way to keep in touch with someone. I actually saw in our PO box the other day, we got some spam from Australia Post, and you can now get personalised stamps as well. So for your business or your family, you can get your logo on a stamp. It was only I think it was on special $25 for $22 worth of stamps. So I thought that was pretty good. I thought stamps had gone up from $1.10 though, but anyway, but I thought that's all right. To have branded stamps, or for your family, you can get your family's face on, and you can get love heart shaped stamps and all sorts of cool things. I thought, good on Australia Post.
They're pivoting, aren't they?
They have pivoted. They're pivoting. Yeah. And
air fryers and crock pots at the Australia Post as well now.
Yeah. You've always been able to buy stuff. It's almost like a $2 shop now, isn't it? But I mean, they have to keep doing something to stay relevant, don't they? Because all of a sudden people are like, well, not all of a sudden, but for a long time, not many people have been sending out stuff in the mail, and they just got to do anything to kind of stay relevant. I had a little laugh the other day that, how we all know how Kodak went broke because Kodak didn't adapt to the digital camera world quick enough. It was actually a Kodak employee that invented the digital camera. So how about that? Like, it was someone in their own team that invented it years before, like in the 70s or something like that. They first invented the digital camera, and they just did not get on their own bandwagon. I just found that quite funny. So what else is going to be left behind in the future that haven't adapted to things? So you think of even McDonald's now, how they adapted to offering, you can buy milk and muffins and brioche buns through drive-through and things like that. So that was a really quick adaptation that they could do, that all of a sudden, we already stock muffins and brioche buns and milk. We're not stocking anything new, but hey, we're telling people that you can buy that stuff through drive-through now, and that it's not very expensive, So
know that.
they did. Yeah, they offered that pretty much. I think by April they were offering that. So right.
Luke, would you do a thing of showing us how to use that Edgar 1 week?
Yeah, definitely. I'd recommend Buffer to start with.
Yeah, I'd love that. I agree. Thanks,
Brett. I can do I can share a screen. That's probably a good start. Edgar's sort of next level. I know a few guys that use it, but they're running like a staff of sort of 40 to 50. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
it's a much more higher end product, isn't it?
Full-time job. Yeah.
More expensive product, yeah.
But still worth it. I think Buffer, I'd be happy to do that. Yeah, we'll just schedule it in. Maybe just a bit of a roundabout, and also group it in the Google business page. We're big on that. That's free SEO. Again, I'm not an expert, but I've just used it long enough and seen the benefits of some of these products, that they're really cheap and easy, and have huge sort of return on investment, I reckon.
And this is the time to be just reaching out to customers and just reminding them about leaving Google reviews, Facebook reviews.
Yep.
David, I know you've got word of mouth as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Which is another system, and just remembering to ask for them, because, you know, before you know it, you've had another 10 customers or something. And you're like, because Alistair just asked me the other day, he said, oh, and Jerry, have you got them to give you a review? He even said to me, he said about him, he goes, Jerry, you didn't ask me to give you a Google review. I said, oh, I had thought of that. I had thought of asking you. So he's like, you've got to ask everyone. So Google reviews are fantastic for your business. In fact, my daughter said the other day, she hopped on Google and she was doing a Google Earth or whatever of our house, and she said, Nurture Queen videos came up, Mum. I go, oh, well, there you go.
Cool.
Google My Business is working.
Yeah, that's your map. That's your map listing, and that's very important too with maps. So it all integrates, and you can also somewhat automate the Google review request as well. We do that just through canned response, and it might be, hey David, just a quick follow up, let you know, just to thank you for your business last week. I hope you're happy with the signs that we installed. Whilst I have you, would you mind leaving us an honest review? And we just offer a couple of platforms, or up to 3. For us, it is Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn, because we find that not everyone wants to jump in and has a Gmail account, but it's sort of the next level. Just tier that down. And I've even got a follow up, like an auto-generated follow up, if they don't respond after a week, and I'll say, hey, just a reminder to leave that review. But it's amazing, just we set that process in place maybe 3 years ago, and now we're up to 60 5-star Google reviews. So it just goes like, and I remember sitting there going, we're never going to get 1 5-star review. This is crazy. Yeah. Like how do people do it? Like it felt like a really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
But we do good work too. So, but it sort of snowballs too. And people want to do business with people who are well rated and successful. Yeah. They want to be aligned with those kinds of businesses. And that's what I've had people say, look, the reason we rang you and chose you is because you've got such a good rating. Like it just rolls everybody else in the industry. Like no one comes close, like not one person and not one company. I'll say, look, great, thanks. We'd really love to show you what we can do, and you can be, 61 on the Google reviews. So let's do this.
Yeah, and I mean just that word of mouth stuff. So someone was, I'm part of Bayside Community Hub, and it's about 25,000 people in that group or something so far, and it's a very you have to live within like 15 kilometres of Sandringham or something. That's very particular about its radius. And you have to prove where you live, and you've got to be a paid member if you're a business and all this. It's pretty picky. But, I recommended someone looking for a rental real estate agent. So I just got on there today and said, oh, you should talk to Megan, blah, blah, blah. They specialize just in property management. And as it turned out, then my comment started a whole string of things of other people saying, oh, I've used Megan. Oh, I've used Megan. Oh, I've used Megan. So she's like sent me a message going, thanks for starting the fire, like a good fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny how like maybe if I hadn't mentioned her name, she may never have gotten mentioned, but because other people saw her name and the business name and everything like that, that it started a little bit of a ripple. So
yeah, and the clients are the best, salespeople. They are your sales reps out on the road, and I think that's it's a great way to do it. So
and it's always just one of those things that I will really often recommend people on Facebook, and to me, it's always come down to who has been the most niched that I remember. So, for instance, there's 100 real estate agents, but they're the ones that specialize in property management that I know of. And no, I don't know any other real estate agent that says that they just, besides your people that just say property managers or whatever. But anyway, that's just the only person that I've met that says that. And I know so many photographers, but every time someone says, I need a food photographer or a product photographer, it's straight to the same person, because every time that I used to visit her BNI, and that's how I got to know her. And every time she showed us, it was all about products or food. And I just remembered that that's what she's really awesome at. She'd take beautiful shots of jewelry and beautiful food styling shots and things like that. And so whenever someone is after someone like that, I'm just straight, oh, that's Lee Bird Photography, just go straight to her. She's just the one that does that. So that to me, it's always the more that people niche, the better it is, and the easier it is for people to remember to refer to you. And I think in business now, in these new times, that referrals are going to be more and more important than ever, and word of mouth, because people want trust. They want to deal with people that they trust and know and like. And the first, well, it's funny how many people will take the advice of people on Facebook that they don't even know these people on Facebook, but they will trust just because someone on Facebook or 5 people have recommended the same person on Facebook, they'll go with it. So it's the same with my Feldenkrais guy, that no one ever asked for Feldenkrais, but he's a remedial massage as well. And just if a few of us get on there and recommend him in the same group, he just gets bookings just all the time, because if enough people have recommended him, then it just builds up that trust, and people just go, oh well, 5 people have said he's great, he must be great. So yeah. So I think it's really good idea to sort of really build your referral partners around you.
Yeah, and I think it's that combination of word of mouth and full blown advertising. And you've probably met people before that say, oh, I've never advertised a day in my life, I don't even have a sign on my factory. And you're like, well, there'll come a day where you're going to need to do both. Yeah, I can guarantee it. And I met someone a while back, very successful, all word of mouth. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, we've got some budget to spend on SEO. Like, things are really sort of pared back now. And I'm like, well, told you, mate, 3 months ago, you should have been in this 20 years ago. Would have been a lot cheaper back then. But I said, everything's a slow burn. You know what I mean? Just because word of mouth is very good. But also it's like the muscles. Yeah. If you always work on your arms, you're just going to have big arms. Yeah. Like someday it's going to be hard to move. And then, something will shift and you might not be able to move your arms as well. So what are you doing with your legs? So I'll look at it like that as well. Having the ability to generate word of mouth, those touch points with cards or, just non-salesy, emails and things like that. Very important. But also learning how to acquire new customers. Yeah. Because like now what matters for most businesses is just ground and pound sales, just selling. Yeah, to survive. But, there might be people out there that are in a business and like, well, I've got costs and I've got staff, and yeah, that's very important. But there also needs to be that focus on that everyone in the company at this point in time is a salesman. Everyone a salesperson, yeah? So you pick up the phone, hey, how you going? Make it a good experience, yeah? Doesn't matter if you sweep the warehouse floor or drive forklifts. It's everyone a salesperson. That's what I say. And that's for us all the time, even in good times. Yeah? Never leave money on the floor. That's my goal. You know what I mean? Never ever. And you'll always leave it on the floor if you're rude. You don't follow up. You don't say, you don't do what you say you're going to do. Or you just all around.
Or if you're an electrician or plumber, they use $50 notes as drop sheets. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's supply and demand. You've got well-known builders building paling fences now in Frankston. So, it all comes full circle. But you do what you've got to do, especially now in business. So, yeah, I don't envy anyone in hospitality. I could only imagine how terrible and hard that is. Some that'll never reopen. There's so many industries that are getting smashed at the moment. And that has an impact, like a ripple effect on them and their families and, their workers' families and their kids. And you know what I mean? Like, I feel a certain amount of stress too, and we're in a fortunate position business-wise, but I don't know what I'd do. I don't know what I'd do if I owned a restaurant and I had millions of dollars at stake and, you know, like lots of stuff. I'd work. I'd just find a way because that's me. But I really, you know what I mean? I really feel for people in that position. It's fucking heartbreaking, you know? Yeah.